Hey everybody, it is Big Mama here, and today I'm going to teach you a beginner's recipe to make biscuits. This recipe I developed a long time ago to help teach people how to make a biscuit. So if you're new to biscuits, this is going to be the first one that you learn. I have 2 more biscuit recipes that I'm going to teach you later, but this is the first one. What you're going to need is some self-rising flour. Okay, you're going to need either Crisco or this all vegetable shortening or some lard, either one of those. You're going to need 3 tablespoons of butter, and then the rest of this butter we're going to use for the tops of the biscuits. So just get your stick of butter out. We'll need 3 tablespoons for the biscuits, the other for the top. You will need some vegetable oil. You'll need a little vinegar. You're going to need some whole milk. This part, you will need a big mixing bowl. And most people, when they're trying to make biscuits, they use a bowl that's too small. So get a big bowl, okay? We're going to need a pizza cutter. If you don't have a pizza cutter, you need the biggest knife that you own, okay? And to cook them in, well, of course, you'll need a measuring cup and some measuring spoons. But to cook them in, the best thing to use is a cast iron skillet. If you do not have a cast iron skillet, you can always use just a baking pan. But I don't recommend cooking biscuits in glass cookware. Okay, so now that we got everything together, let's get started making these biscuits. All right, the first thing you're gonna need is 3 cups of self-rising flour. There's 1. I like Martha White or White Lily, but I've had good luck with just store brands of self-rising flour. So 3 cups of self-rising flour. You will also need your 3 tablespoons of butter. Put that in there. You'll need 3 tablespoons of either shortening or like Crisco or lard, and we'll just use this shortening. So there's 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons, and 3 tablespoons. Once you get to this point, you have a couple of options, okay? Let me grab this thing over here. If you have a pastry cutter, you can use that, or you can use a fork. But what we're gonna do, and you can just use your hands. I'll do all methods, I'll show you. You take your pastry cutter and you just go up and down and cut your fat into your flour, okay? Your butter and your shortening. If you don't have one of these, you can use a fork. You just take that fork and mash it, mash it, mash it, mash it. Now, the oven is on 450 degrees, okay? You want to cook biscuits in a hot oven, and you want a very light hand when you're making biscuits. Now, this is method 2. Method 3 is to get your hands in there and just crumble up your fat. Okay, you can even rub it between your hands like this, and it helps break it up. You want it all to be basically uniform size, okay? I think too much butter in a biscuit doesn't do good, and I think all vegetable shortening in this biscuit doesn't work as good as when you half it and half it. Yeah, and this recipe, I created it a long time ago. And this is a good one for people who want to learn to make biscuits, because most people overwork their dough. Now, when your dough, when your fat and your flour looks like this, okay, like coarse sand, it's just, you'll know that it's well distributed. Okay, once you have that done, we are going to add in 1 cup of milk, okay, that has 1 teaspoon of vinegar added to it. Buttermilk is really too thick for biscuits, in my opinion. It's heavy, it's a little thick. I think either whole milk or this homemade buttermilk. This is just white vinegar, 1 teaspoon into this cup of milk. Gonna stir it a little bit. I think this makes the best biscuits. You need a little bit of acid the white vinegar or lemon juice in your milk because it helps to activate the baking powder that's in the self-rising flour. Now, we're going to get our fork. We're not going to add it all at once. We're gonna add about 3/4 of it, okay? And we're gonna stir. Gently stir. You don't wanna overwork a biscuit dough. All right, let's go ahead and add in all the rest of that milk. Gently stir it around. You can use your hand here if you want to. Now, if you've got a lot of flour left in the side like this, see all this dry flour, you may need to add in a little more milk. That's fine. I'm gonna start with 1/4 cup. See if that'll do the trick. Okay. Looks pretty good. You want what's called a shaggy dough. You don't want a real dry dough. You want it to be a little bit moist. And this looks just about right. We don't have any dry flour left, but it's not a real dry dough, okay? Now, this next part is how we're gonna put this together. You're gonna take you some flour. And of course, I just use my countertop usually to make biscuits because I clean it and then I clean it when I'm done. But you're gonna put you some flour out like this, okay? You're gonna take this entire bowl of dough very carefully and we're just gonna scrape it off onto this flour. Now at this point, you don't need anything. We're not going to need this dough. Overworking it makes it tough. You're gonna pile it up in a little pile like this. Make a little loaf shape out of it, okay? Once you have your loaf shape, you're gonna take your hand and you're just going to press it down. You want it to be, about 1/2 inch thick, just like that. We'll square it up a little bit. We have a rectangle here, and we're gonna do what's called a letter fold, okay? That is simply, you take this end of the dough, fold it over to the middle. Then you take this end of the dough and fold it over to the middle, okay? Flip it over. Make sure you have a little flour under there. Flip it over. That's called turn number 1. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna press it out with our hand to be about 1/2 inch, okay? We're gonna fold it again. 1, 2, there we go. Flip it over. That's fold number 2. This fold that we're fixing to do is the last fold, okay? To the middle, flip it over. Okay, once you have it to this, you're just pressing the dough, okay? This recipe, depending on how thick you like your biscuits, can make 8 to 12. All right, kind of want to square it up a little bit. Now, no kneading, do not knead this dough. That's it. That's all we're going to do, okay? Now, if you have a pizza cutter, this is the time that you want to cut these biscuits. I go in the middle and make one cut all the way down. Then I eyeball it. Let's see. There. 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 There's our 8 biscuits. Okay. Now, when you're cooking biscuits, usually you want to grease your pan, okay? And what I do, this is just vegetable oil here, a little oil. I'm just gonna put a little oil in my pan, probably a teaspoon, okay? And I'm just gonna take my biscuits and I'm gonna set them, I'm gonna put it in the pan where the oil is. You take this biscuit and kind of rub the oil around. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you don't want a square biscuit, let me show you with these other 4 what you can do. You can see the layers in this biscuit, okay? And those are gonna puff up. So you don't wanna mash it, but you can take the biscuit and very, very gently in your hand, super gently, kind of make it into more of a biscuit shape, okay? See how I did that? Still a little bit square. But we're gonna put those in with the others to show you how this looks, very gently. Now, if you don't have a pizza cutter, you can do the same thing with your big knife. You just slice down through the dough, try not to pull it. Just slice it. There's 3, and here's the other one. Okay, so we're gonna cook these on 450 until they begin to get a little brown on top. And I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna come back and show you what we got. While our biscuits are cooking, let me show you a little tip about cleaning flour. You do not want to use a warm or hot sponge or dishcloth to clean flour because it really makes it into a glue. You always want to use cold water to clean up your flour mess. Okay, I'm not very good at this filming, but I want y'all to be able to see these biscuits. They're fixing to come out of the oven. They actually cooked for 20 minutes, so let me grab those. All right, and here they are. I'm gonna go ahead and take these out of this skillet. Oh, they're so hot. Let me get something to get them. And they're super flaky. These biscuits have layers just like that. Now these are the ones that I left in the square, okay? And hot. These are the ones that I tried to shape into little rounds. Come back here, biscuit. So they're still sort of square looking and they're a little bit taller. Let me get those on out of there. You can take these biscuits and get you a little melted butter and brush on top of them. Okay, just like that. But I want to get a little plate to show you just how flaky they are. All right, let's take this one here. Spread a little butter on top of it like that. And we'll get a little butter here to put on the inside. But there's the inside of it. And see, it's still soft and tender because we didn't overwork that dough. So if you like this recipe, get this one kind of going, and then I'm gonna come back and show y'all how to take this exact recipe, and make a couple of other things with this dough. So once you have this method and this dough down pat, it'll really help you with some other recipes. So I'm gonna put some strawberry preserves on that one, and I guess I'll fry up some bacon, and we'll just have bacon biscuits for lunch today. But yeah, square biscuits, the easiest beginner recipe that you'll ever come across. All right, y'all have a good day.